It's Wake Up Wyoming with Glenn Woods.
In store.
Time is 6:06. It's Wake Up Wyoming. It's a Thursday, and I swear I can see the weekend from here. And if you're in a high-profile vehicle sometime today in Wyoming, the usual suspected areas, southeast Wyoming, I-25, I-80 specifically, watch out for high winds, gusty. They will be putting up those warning signs up in lights there about high-profile tip-overs. So if you were going to head out sometime today for your long weekend, maybe you want to think about that tomorrow if you're going through those areas. Just a thought.
Today's show is sponsored by Do-It-Yourself Pet Taxidermy Kit. You'll never have to say goodbye to Mr. Sprinkles again.
I don't want to have to gut him, no. That's the thing. I don't think I could.
Warning, this show contains reference to guns, liberty, limited government, low taxation, the cult of climate change, free thinking, cigar smoking, short people, rubber chickens, Karen's bureaucracy, liberal buzzwords, tour runs, traffic, toilets, terrible jokes, and more. No apologies will be issued. Guest callers may express any opinion they want without fear of being canceled. Unless you're a loudmouth jerk like Dave, then Glenn will hang up on you. Strap in, hold on to your coffee, and feel free to participate.
This disclaimer does not refer to every person named Dave, just one particular Dave from San Francisco. We know a lot of Daves. They call this show all the time, and they're great people. So don't call this program and complain that we use your name. That would be a real Dave move, Dave.
I like this first story. I went through several stories. Where do I start today? I think you'll like this one, too. Cowboy State Daily article. Remember I told you a little while ago about an atheist in Gillette who was trying to sue the city of Gillette? Because before they start every city council meeting, they have a moment of silence or a moment of prayer. And they get people to do it, the invocation, if you will. And there was this atheist in Gillette who would from time to time request to do it. And so they would put him on the list, even though he's an atheist. I mean, other people can request it too. His lawsuit was that he wasn't getting to do it enough. And the guy becomes quite a bit of a bother. He tries to sue for all sorts of different things. Here's the latest headline. Gillette atheist who lost prayer lawsuit wants his own commandments in the park. God. Well, in the city park, in one of the city parks in Gillette, somebody has the 10 Commandments. Here's the story. After losing his state lawsuit and appeal against Gillette public officials over prayers at city council meetings, and atheists and his, this is in quotes, church, are suing numerous people in federal court for the church's 21 rule amendments in the Gillette City Park alongside the 10 Commandments, which Gillette has in one of their parks. Bruce Williams, 73 years old, of the, what is it, Hypatian Society? I'll have to get the pronunciation of that. I'm going to have to look that up, too. I haven't seen that word before, so I'm probably just butchering it. Hypatian Society, which is a religious or charitable, quote, church, quote marks there. He co-founded. He's also demanding about $240 million in damages in a federal suit filed. Usually, when he goes to sue for something, it's some outrageous millions like that. $240 million I want. Buy a lottery ticket, pal. All right, the lawsuit complains and calls Judaism the first Arabic sect, Christianity the second Aramaic sect, and Islam the third, referring to the Old Testament and religions and so on. What infuriates Williams is he wrote in the lawsuit is that he can't present his church's 21 rules to an area where young people visit the same way the city presents their 10 Commandments there. Quote, the mere presence of his first two aromatic sets demand from their God being present in the park in the only open area that separates the Twin Spruce Junior High School and the city swimming pool, where a large number of young people are present That's what he worries about. Because the government of the city of Gillette will not allow the plaintiff to present his own views to the youth. Williams said the Judeo-Christian monument isn't a problem on its own. The problem is that the church's 21 rules aren't sitting alongside the monument. So, okay. The 21 rules he has attached to his lawsuit urge people to protect children, avoid lying, lead an active life, help the poor, but watch for charlatans along the way. He said, quote, there are no gods, only people born to believe in gods, he said. That's in one of the 21 rules. Science will provide the correct answers given time and critiques, including the answer to when someone is dead. And rule number 1 articulates a pro-choice outlook. Governor Mark Gordon in the city of Gillette, Wyoming, as mayor previously, and current city attorneys and so on, and current administrators and current city council people, those are all who are being sued. Okay, so let me see. The controversy started, the story says, back in 2014 when Williams started asking if he could perform the invocation at the public meetings. An official at one point said he'd have to check to see whether the pastor running the rotation would clarify as to who can fit into the schedule. William has criticized this multiple times in court documents, saying public officials should not be letting Christian pastors determine who can pray and when. At 72 years old, one of my thoughts is, and you tell me what you think, but one of my thoughts is, this guy has just way too much time on his hand. At this age, he is retired, has been for quite a while, and he needs something to fight about. And this is what he's decided to do. So I've clicked on the website here, About Us, Charity Home, Mission Statement. He does not do a very good website. Let me try the home. That is the home. About Us page. Okay. When I say he doesn't do a really good website, it's because there's not much to it. It's so many words, just goes on and on and on and on. I'll have to read his 21. Instead of the 10 Commandments, he has 21 things, which I mentioned, some of which I agree with. It's his bothering other people with all of this that I don't. Let me see. No one is your superior. All others are your equal and should be treated that way. You are responsible for what you do and what you do not do. See, again, some of this I agree with. Number 14, fraud is wrong and shall be punished. Yeah, okay. Number 5, find someone to grow old with and treat each other well. We all need to be loved. Be a friend to others and treat others with respect. See, I don't think that there's anything really bad so far anyway. Oh, number 4, eat a well-balanced diet. Lead an active physical and mental life. Seek appropriate it talks about sex life and stuff like that. I don't see anything here that I really disagree with in his 21 commandments. Number 20, change is inevitable. Do not let extremists determine the change. Always preserve the history of what outmoded, both pro and con. Okay, so again, good ideas here. I dislike the fact that the way he's pushing his ideas on. I don't like it when anybody does this, when they push their ideas, especially with this lawsuit. He wants $240 million in restitution, and he wants his 21 commandments in the park. 6:15 is the time. Wake Up Wyoming.
It's Wake Up Wyoming with Glenn Woods on AM 1030 K2 Radio. Join the show at 888-97-WOODS.
6:22 is the time to Wake Up Wyoming. Okay, I have a part-time job for you. This is going to be perfect. It's a part-time job, and it's only going to last just for a few months, and I think we're done after this. When it comes to posting notes on the Internet, on social media, there's, of course, a thing called meme. I love doing a meme. Every so often I make my own meme. I just posted one this morning. Just so you know, the one I posted this morning, it shows, there used to be a thing like this. Picture when you're sitting there on the toilet. Look over at the toilet paper roll. Now imagine the top half of that, where you put the toilet paper, is a radio. It's all one piece. It's a radio that accepts a toilet paper roll. So you can listen to the radio while you're sitting there. Now you may think that's ridiculous. Until you start making noises you don't want anyone to hear, then you can go ahead and turn up the radio. See, isn't this a great idea? I wrote as a meme, my listeners are still here, but now they're on their cell phones. Which is absolutely a true thing. You make memes for all sorts of things. It is also true, I find it interesting, as much as liberals own a lot of things in media, like comedy, television shows, and so on. They can be very creative, but conservatives dominate the meme stream on social media. How would you like to be Joe Biden's campaign manager for memes? They're hiring. It's not a joke. They really are. Can you imagine the gems that you could produce with this? So here's Washington Times. Biden campaign to hire meme manager as president struggles for votes among young voters. Wow. What would you do with that? See, I would make memes that the Biden campaign would think are really great memes for him, but then if you think about it for a couple of seconds, you realize it actually bashes them. But all right. The Biden campaign, the story says, is aiming to speak the language of youth by hiring someone to manage its content and meme pages as the president's re-election campaign struggles to connect with Gen Z voters. In a job posting on Daybook, the campaign is looking to hire a partner to manage the campaign's internet connection, including creating memes. The story says memes have played a big part in how presidential candidates have tried to get the word out about their campaign. Now, to be fair, memes can be very powerful. That's why I love them. I really do love memes. They can be extraordinarily powerful. So it makes sense to do so. Just as a picture is worth 1,000 words, a picture with some words on it, wow. You can sum things up with a punchy visual. I love memes. Oftentimes they're just brilliant. I look for them every single day, and I create some of my own. Except for the fact that it is well known that the left can't meme, and lame memes are worse than no memes. So in other words, if you put out a meme that is just stupid, you are going to get trashed. And that's where you got to be careful with memes. What makes a meme so powerful is that it concentrates everything down to the essence of the argument. So in other words, you pick a really good picture, and it doesn't have to be a picture that goes with what you're saying until you put the words in. You marry the two things, right? So, it does the job just by a quick, it gets, and the next thing, you're getting your message across by getting people to laugh. And laughter really is the best way to reach people. The problem with the Biden meme manager, the idea is simple. They are gaslighters, and it's hard to gaslight in a meme. You can communicate a bad idea, but not as gaslighting, because again, people will attack if your meme just sucks. The story says memes tap your experience in the way the world works. It's their superpower. It's that aha moment. I'm looking at one here the author put up. It looks like a mathematical equation, but it's done in pictures. And it has the Russian flag, the hammer and sickle, plus the Nazi flag equals the Democrat donkey. Yeah. Again, you're trying to get your message across, but whether you agree with that or not, people see that and it gets the message across. So they want a meme manager. And if you're thinking, well, then some conservatives are going to go ahead and sign up for this and try to punk the Biden administration. It's already begun. Just earlier this morning, Babylon Bee, which is a very conservative, like the Onion News, but very conservative points of view. And one of the writers for the Babylon Bee said, I have just decided that I'm going to apply for the job as Biden's meme manager. Now, I don't know if he'll get it or not. He'll have to lie about who he is in order to get the job, because they'll probably background check a little something here. But this is a job that will last a very short period of time. Between now and Election Day, they want someone sitting around creating memes. And what I want to know for the campaign, how much are they going to pay for this? How much is it worth to be Biden's meme manager, where you sit around all day long looking at pictures and trying to come up with funny memes that make a point, that will win over young voters? All right. That's what I want to know more than anything else, is how much is this going to cost? Coming up on some local news, update on your weather forecast after that, then you and I get back into it again. Extended weather forecast coming your way at 6:45. Remember now, for high-profile vehicles out there, the usual places around I-25, I-80, eastern side of the state. Heavy winds today. Watch out for that, especially if you were heading out early for your Memorial Day weekends. Wake up, Wyoming.
Download the Wake Up Wyoming mobile app. Listen anywhere and chat live with Glenn during the show on AM 1030 K2 Radio.
6:36 the time. It's Wake Up Wyoming. My name is Glenn Woods. Thanks for joining me. This was brought up yesterday, but I want to get into it. You know, there's that airplane that had some severe turbulence, Singapore Airlines, and one guy actually died. Now, not because he didn't break his neck hitting the ceiling or anything like that. He had a heart attack, is the last I heard. But yeah, Singapore Airlines, serious turbulence. The plane survived it, but wow, what a ride for those people. Well, of course, the cult of climate change steps up immediately and blames it on climate change. All right, so what you do is you go look at the numbers. Forget what the media says, because even CNN was on this the other day. It's caused by climate change. Well, okay, let's take a look at this. If I take a look at the actual graph for turbulence, if you go back to 1989 is when it starts, until today, when we've been able to watch the atmosphere, not just when planes hit turbulence, but we had the equipment to watch the atmosphere and know when severe turbulence is happening. And as with all graphs, there are some years that are busier than other years. Okay, but overall, how are we doing? Well, we're not experiencing any extra turbulence. The story here says the net zero inspired narrative. Figures published by two safety bodies show there has been no increase in turbulence or accidents regarding turbulence or rise in injuries per passenger for over the last 30 years. Okay. So again, some years are busier than other years, but overall, the figures from the Civil Aviation Organization confirmed and the continued low level of turbulence and incidents involving turbulence in the United States, the largest area in the world so we got all these mountain chains and so on. And so, okay, it starts to break down, and I won't give you the breakdown because it goes on for quite a while, but you get the idea. So what happened? Well, one plane ran into one particularly bad spot of turbulence. That's what happened. That's it. Now, the cult of climate change will tell you we're getting more turbulence than ever before, and it's more severe than ever. And that's not the case when you actually look at the numbers. That one plane happened to hit a really bad bump. A couple of side notes. Because I'm an aviation dork, I was watching one video. These days with GoPro cameras, a lot of private pilots like to put GoPros in their airplanes and then make a YouTube channel where they post their flights. And I like watching them. The good ones anyway. Some people are really bad at it. Some people are really good at it. There's this one pilot, he's an instructor in Florida, and he and his students are flying along in a Cessna 172, which is a small four-seater plane. And as they're flying along, it's smooth. It's a very smooth morning. Suddenly they hit a really big bump, just about bang their heads on the ceiling of the airplane. Thank God they were buckled. And then everything went smooth again. And they're looking at each other like, the hell was that? Now, sometimes the ground heats up, especially in the middle of the day, and that causes thermals to rise. That's what you see big soaring birds flying on, those thermals that are rising up, just because the Earth is heating because the sun's out. And planes will fly through those, and it'll get kind of bumpy. Big planes don't feel them so much. Small planes feel them quite a bit. Okay? It's like a boat on the water. It's just bumpity-bump, right? So I had that experience last time I was up with my flight instructor. We're flying along. Anyway, it was a little bumpy, but nothing bad. And then all of a sudden, the two of us just bang, and he looked at me and said, watch out for those potholes, huh? Yeah, well, okay. So this happens. But now, the big turbulence we're talking about here is at ultra-high altitudes, because we got planes flying like 35-plus feet way up there, and that's where the jet stream is, and sometimes that area gets turbulent. So, back to the point of all of this. Are we experiencing more turbulence than ever before, and it's worse than ever before because of climate change? That has been the prediction from the cult of climate change. And the answer to that is no. Like with everything else, forget what they say. Forget what the news media says. Let's just go look at the actual data. And when you look at the actual data, again, some years, turbulence is worse than other years. But when you add up the graph across the line over a period of decades, you'll find that really there has been no increase or decrease. Even in just the past few days, we had some devastating tornadoes out in part of the Midwestern states. One town was pretty much ripped apart. And, of course, you know it's coming, the cult of climate change. You see, this is it. You see? Is that happening more than ever before? More tornadoes, bigger and badder than ever before? More intense tornado? No. In fact, there's been a slight decrease in tornadoes over the past few decades, not increase. See, it all sounds horrible till you actually look up the numbers.
If someone asked you where the beach was, you could point in any direction and technically not be wrong. That's not a good enough excuse for your poor sense of direction. Your shirt is not tucked into your pants. Does that mean your pants are tucked into your shirt? You are so stupid. Dude, why do we say we slept like a baby when babies wake up every couple of hours? That's a good question. Good-looking people with terrible personalities are just real-life clickbait. Yeah. If your house was on fire while you were in the shower, would you survive? You want to test it? No. I'm good. Shame. You scare me.
The only show broadcasting from a bunker under Devil's Tower. Hey, it's cold down here. Wake Up Wyoming with Glenn Woods, 6 a.m. weekdays on AM 1030 and FM 95.1.
6:49 is the time. It's Wake Up Wyoming. Off we go to the... Oh, see, I do the wrong one now and then. Here we go. Icebox. Frank Gambino waiting by.
It's hot in here.
Yeah, it really is. It's not an icebox this morning?
No, it changes.
Okay.
You know, our office weather changes like
the
real weather.
The real weather outside.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So
you got to come. You come prepared. Like I used to bring a sweater.
Right.
And then you got to make sure you got to wear a T-shirt.
Yeah.
And open the window, but then again that could change, and then they got to close the window, but then they got to find your sweater again.
It's a good idea to keep those breakaway pants. The ones you can turn into shorts.
I haven't reached that point yet.
Okay. Well, it's not. I've tried those in the past. The easy part is unzipping around the knees and just pulling them off, and there you go. You're wearing shorts.
Reattaching them is the problem.
Yes. Exactly. I was all about these things. I thought this is the coolest idea since sliced bread until I had to put them back on. And it was just annoying.
Yeah. You win some, you lose some, right?
Right, yeah. And then you got the question of, you put your long pants on, but then it starts getting warm. So you unzip them at the knees and pull half the pants off there, right? What do you do with those? Shove them in your pockets?
Yeah, where do you put them?
See, they should come with some kind of little
It's like
pouch.
a backpack, yeah.
Like a little pouch on the belt or something, so you can shove it in there. Because I don't know, and if I don't have a little pouch or something with me, then I'm going to lose them.
Well, you just put them under some dirt and remember where they are.
Oh, yeah. See, then what that means, Frank, is I have now permanent shorts.
Right.
So I think I'll just go. That's why I decided I'm just going to go buy shorts. That's all I'm going to do.
Yeah. All righty. In girls high school soccer, the 4A All-State team was announced yesterday or this week. For Kelly Walsh, the state champions, they have 4 players make All-State. Peyton Hill is a 3-time All-State selection. Bethany Strand and Abigail Miller are 2-time All-State picks. And Sydney Stephen is a All-State selection for the very first time. Laramie had 2 All-State selections. McKenna Barham is a 3-time All-State selection. She's also a pretty good wrestler. And Devani Romero from Laramie also makes All-State. And Cheyenne East with 2 All-State selections, Haley Pearson and Jordan Grease. And both of those are 2-time All-State picks. Akina Little from Cheyenne Central made All-State for the 3rd time, as well as Ryan Barthel from Natrona. In baseball, the Casper Spuds collegiate baseball team will start the season tonight at Lansing Field, weather permitting, taking on the Spearfish Sasquatch. This is a college summer league. These kids coming from mostly smaller colleges to improve their skills and stay sharp and move up the baseball ladder and get ready for their following season. So the games they're pretty interesting for the most part, and a lot of enthusiasm. That'll be a 6:30 start tonight at Lansing Field. In American Legion baseball, the Casper Oilers beat Gillette twice yesterday, 12-5 and 7-0. Cheyenne Post 6 over Scottsbluff, Nebraska, 11-2. The Cheyenne Hawks beat the Laramie Rangers AA team 9-1. The Cheyenne Eagles swept the doubleheader from the Laramie Rangers A team 6-2 and 3-2. In Major League Baseball, the Colorado Rockies actually won a game. They beat Oakland 4-3 in 12 innings. Ryan McMahon with a 2-run homer to snap a 4-game losing streak for Colorado. The A's have lost 11 of 13, and nobody really cares about baseball in Oakland. The attendance yesterday, 3,617. In the NBA playoffs, Dallas beat Minnesota 108-105 in Game 1 of their Western Conference Finals, so Dallas leads that series 1-0. And in the Stanley Cup playoffs in hockey, Florida defeated the New York Rangers 3-0 in the Eastern Conference Finals, so Florida leads that series 1-0. That's it in sports.
So basically what you're saying between those two teams, it doesn't matter what happens.
It's a pillow fight, yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter.
Whatever. Nobody cares.
No. Not in Oakland, they don't. They don't. It's a huge place that nobody goes. Now they're gonna end up, Oakland now where they're losing their team, they're gonna sell the whole property to developers and just tear the whole thing down and make it something
That was going to be my next question. What happens to the whole thing? So that piece of property, is it located someplace that's worth a lot of money?
Yes and no. They'll figure something out, but it's, it's not good for baseball.
No, it's not. But, okay. Maybe this team, the A's finally, are they still going to be called the A's?
Yes. Matter of fact, when they play in Sacramento for 2 years while their stadium is being built in Las Vegas, I think they're just going to be called the A's.
Okay.
Without the Sacramento or Vegas or an Oakland part of it.
Okay.
Just the A's.
Well, hopefully this does them good.
Yeah.
Now if Colorado can just get rid of their team, that'll do them a whole lot.
That would be nice. Yeah. Maybe they can move to Vegas too.
Yes, please do. All right. Thank you, Frank. Coming up on some local business we got to take care of. Running into news time after that. National local update on the weather forecast. You and I get back into it. Wake up, Wyoming. 6 the time. It's Wake Up Wyoming. It's a Thursday. I swear I can see the weekend from here. For those who want to head out onto the road, especially if you're going to start the Memorial Day weekend early, high wind warning for the usual suspected areas in Wyoming, especially I-25 and I-80 in the southeastern part. We'll get you up to date on that because Don Day will be on with me at 7:45 to discuss all of this in detail, which he does every single day with his weather forecast.
Today's show is sponsored by Do-It-Yourself Pet Taxidermy Kit. You'll never have to say goodbye to Mr. Sprinkles again.
That's just the one animal I don't want to gut myself. Just posted, and this made me change the subject for a moment, by State Senator Ogden Driscoll, whose family owns the property around Devil's Tower and has for many, many generations. He posted a map of the United States showing the tax burden. And this is done in percentages here. So let me see. Percentage of personal income paid towards state and local taxes. So again, state and local taxes paid, all right? So let's take a look at where we are. Because I know we have been complaining about, and we should, when we take a look at property taxes, stuff like this. But this includes sales tax, all that kind of stuff, right? All right, the highest, a guess, take a guess. If you say California, no, but they're close. New York, which is why so many people are just leaving New York and going someplace else. A lot of them down to Florida, where the tax rate is 6.1% for state and local taxes. Again, percentage of income taxed. Of your personal money. Or to put it the way they do on this here, percentage of personal income paid towards state and local taxes. So Florida, 6.1%. As is Tennessee, 6.1%. North Carolina, 7.9%. South Carolina, 7.5%. Texas, 7.6%. I was hoping Texas would be a bit lower, but okay. Colorado, any guesses? 8.4%. California is 10.4%. See, but they're still not. If you go up to New Hampshire, that's 10.7%. Vermont is 11.1%. That's where Bernie Sanders is from. Connecticut is 10.1%. Illinois, 9.7%. Minnesota, 10%. But personal income goes towards state and local taxes. Oregon and Washington State. Washington is at 8%. Oregon's at 8.4%. I know you're listening to this going, okay, come on, get to it. Where's Wyoming? Hang on. Nebraska, 9.2%. I had heard that Nebraska had a high tax rate there. Kansas, 9.3% of your personal income paid towards state and local taxes. These are some pretty good numbers here, pretty high numbers. Wyoming, 5.7%. Now, I'm looking around the country here, and I don't see anywhere. Let me see. There's 8 point. There's there. I think Wyoming might just be. Nope, we're not. Okay. I thought Wyoming was the lowest. New Hampshire, 5.6%. Wyoming's 5.7% of personal income paid towards state and local taxes. Okay. I am sharing this to myself. Well, I'm on social media here, so I'll share it to myself. And then what I'll do is I'll do a little bit of research so I can give you guys a good write-up of this when we get to, let's say, Friday's show to get into just some more detail about who has and break down what exactly they're talking about when it comes to taxes. Because here again, what this says is, let me read it again. Percentage of personal income paid towards state and local taxes. Total tax burden based on property tax, which, Wyoming, we are sneaking up. But we're trying to fix that property tax problem. Sales and excise tax, all figures as of March 12, 2024. Okay, so Wyoming is the second lowest in the country, not the lowest. Just above us is Tennessee and Florida. So we're at 5.7%. They're Tennessee and Florida at 6.1%. Only one state's lower than us. New Hampshire at 5.6%. Interesting. Okay. Again, I will do a little more research into that and get back with you on that one at sometime during tomorrow's show. All right. Now, here in the state of Wyoming, a huge 1.2 million panel Wyoming solar farm gets the green light to build. This is a story from Cowboy State Daily. We talked about this before, but they got the green light. The largest solar power project in Wyoming, which plans to supply electricity to burgeoning infrastructure of power-hungry data centers. So the reason, if you wonder why in southeastern Wyoming they're going to build a huge solar farm, is because there's a lot of companies that are moving in that are data companies. They're going to, and I'm okay with that if they want to put up these huge computer facilities out there. That's okay. Where are they going to get the power from? Well, they want to go as green as possible because these are Silicon Valley people, right? So they're helping to pay for this massive solar farm. $1.2 billion solar farm with more than 1.2 million panels will be built by this energy giant. And they expect to get 771 megawatt solar farm is what they hope to get. Now they claim, now we know this is not true. They claim that would be enough electricity to power 771,000 homes. But you know, because we've talked about this before, the claim every time they put up a wind or solar farm and they claim it's going to produce this much power, it never produces anywhere near that much power. It never does. Will they get a lot out of it? Sure. But they're not going to get nearly that much. The next problem is, why would you build a solar farm of that size right in Hale Alley? This is where a lot of hailstorms happen. Now, because of the altitude, those hail balls are a lot bigger. And you all know of the hailstorm that happened, I think it was on the Colorado side, am I right about that? It was a big hailstorm that took out a whole solar farm out in that area. Growing up in Florida, which is at sea level, when hail would hit the backyard or just hit my yard in general, which was rare. In most cases, it was just pea-size, little things, you know. Came to Wyoming the first time I ever saw really big balls of hail, golf ball size and bigger. And it's just our altitude. We're closer up to the storms. So, and this is an area where they're going to put this massive solar farm that does get a lot of hail. Now, I'm sure they'll reinforce it a little bit so not as much damage is done, but they better think about that. But also, let's take a look at the size of it. Because they've gone through the permitting process and, well, it's okay, go ahead and build this thing. I'll start with that first sentence again. The largest solar power project in Wyoming, okay, near Cheyenne, the $1.2 billion, all right, with more than 1.2 million panels. That's going to be a huge chunk of land. Ranchers in the area opposed to this, of course. I'll get into that in just a minute, but that's a huge chunk of land. And oftentimes people who want to go green, as they call it, worry about wildlife. And I would too. As we worry about wildlife in the area, you got to stop and think about it for just a bit. What about wildlife in the area? Because that's a massive amount of solar panels taking up a huge area. What's happening to the wildlife in the area? Especially when it comes to, I mean, we even have migration corridors in parts of Wyoming. We're putting up huge solar farms and wind farms. A coal and natural gas plant doesn't take up anywhere near that amount of property. But hang on, I'll get into more of this in just a moment. Wake up, Wyoming.
You can't control how good a day you're going to have, but you can control how weird a day everybody else has. Be the weirdest, most confusing, unhinged part of everybody's day.
Admit it, you were hoping somebody would say that. He's not a politician, but his pants are on fire. Could someone grab an extinguisher? Wake Up Wyoming with Glenn Woods.
All right, getting some reaction here from the story I was just going through. Huge solar farm, southeastern Wyoming now. It's just been approved, green-lighted. There's a couple of other permitting things that they'll get, like, for instance, environmental air quality. It's a solar farm. They won't have to worry about that. But, okay, so they're going to take up a massive amount of land. Now, first off, land, of course, is a problem with the amount they're going to take up. I focus on they want to provide power because in southeast Wyoming, and this is a good thing, there's a lot of companies that are moving in to build data centers. huge computer facilities, and that's fine. And they want Wyoming, because look at your temperature outside right now. We don't get very hot for very long in Wyoming. It's mostly cool up here. That's why they want to do it. And that wind is actually not a bad idea. If you want to cool down those computers without having to use a lot of air conditioning, there you go. Wyoming. Cool temperatures, lots of breeze. Perfect. But you're going to need a lot of electricity for this. So their idea is, well, this solar farm is going to produce, and let me get the exact number here again, because it never reaches what it's promised. Enough for 771,000 homes. That's how much electricity. And my answer is no, it's not. It never reaches that. It never gets to that, whatever they promised. Okay. Then what about wildlife in the area? So here's some of the comments I'm getting off the Wake Up Wyoming app. Let's see. Morning, Barbara. She's in Lusk. Let's see. Oh, sorry, Barbara. You're talking about the LLC. That's a different topic. I'll get back to you on that one. Rick and Cheyenne, the land is no longer useful to wildlife as a fence at all with 8-foot-tall, 3 strands of barbed wire fencing. Rhiannon Fort Dangers. This is going to be a huge. It's going to be a huge eyesore. It's going to destroy the beauty that the plains have. And Tim, federal or private land? I don't know. That's a good question. Federal or private land? I have no idea. But that is a massive area. Now, again, if they had built, I can think of 2 other solutions here. One, if they built a coal-fired power plant or a natural gas plant, it wouldn't take up nearly as much land. There's that option. And the energy would be reliable. And you wouldn't have to worry about hailstorms, which they will have to worry about in that area. Known for hailstorms. Bad ones. So then there's also, and I know some of you are opposed to the idea, but there's that company that wants to start practicing in Gillette. They want to start building micro-nuclear reactors. So picture a reactor about the size of a 2-car garage. And that's a nuclear reactor, and it can provide, or smaller even, and provide all of the power that they need. So there's something like that. But to put up because they got to go green, it's got to be green and sustainable. So they say. So they're going to wind up with a whole pile of problems here. So the next thing is, this is, again, Cowboy State Daily article. When complete, the project will become the largest utility-scale solar farm in Wyoming. A proposed solar farm near Glen Rock will cover more than 4,700 acres, bordering the North Platte River. I just thought of something else, by the way. You know what it's like. I didn't notice this until I first moved to Wyoming, and I had just washed my car. And then because there's always either wind, like we're going to have today in a good part of Wyoming, or just a breeze out there. And that blows around all of this dirt. You know what it's like. It's constantly on you. It's constantly on your vehicle. And so within just a day or so, I walked out to my car and thought, why is my car so filthy? I just washed it, and I didn't go anywhere. And it's just all the dust blowing around out here. So they're going to have to constantly keep those solar panels clean. All right. So the project, the Enbridge project near Glen Rock, has met with some resistance from local ranchers since April of 2020. The Alberta-based Enbridge company has worked to get its solar farm project off the ground, taking up leases with most cattle ranchers. One cattle rancher, Ed Proser, ranching neighbors with the East and North project. He has more than 2,800 acres of land and will be surrounded by 1.2 million solar panels. An eyesore for him along 4 miles of his north fence and spreading about 2 miles along the eastern edge. Pine Bluff's resident, a Republican who is running for state senate, that's in District 6, said in the primary in August he lives about 20 miles east of a solar farm and is worried about the potential fire erupting from very large battery storage in the area. Well, okay. Instead of rolling hills, the virgin dry prairie grass will be dug up to make way for steel ports. Panels pointing up to the sun. Okay. Eyesore, yes, that's one thing I do worry about is the big eyesore. but also for those people, and I'm one of them, worry about the wildlife in the area because it takes up so much land. Jude and Casper, no nuclear reactor, can't get rid of the rods. Yellowstone is unstable. Well, okay, first off, Judy, just to clear it for you, Yellowstone is not going to erupt anytime soon. According to geologists, we have a long time before Yellowstone ever erupts. Second, they found a way to recycle those rods and reuse them 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 to the point that there's almost nothing left of them. So recycling rods to make more out of it is not as bad as you think, Jude. And Yellowstone's not going to erupt anytime soon. In fact, I wrote an article about that a year or so ago, maybe 2 years ago, where I was looking at the work of several geologists who are out working Yellowstone. And the whole idea that it could erupt at any time, it's not going to. We're nowhere near that. But I still worry about, look, for those people who worry about migration corridors and other animals that live on the ground or take to the air, birds in the area, you're taking up massive swaths of land with wind and solar. It takes us huge areas of land to do this, which is not good. For those people who want to be clean, green, sustainable, Milo in Fort Danger. Sounds like Wyoming is getting close to becoming a blue state. Well, I don't think that. I don't think Wyoming's becoming a blue state. But just these projects, though, I mean, they bring in a lot of money. I mean, this is a project that's almost a couple of $1 billion. And when you're talking about that kind of money, that's pretty irresistible to some people. But I look at this, here's a couple of things that I'm worried about. First off, why are not environmentalists worried about what's going to happen to the animals in the area? But also, what happens when they don't produce the amount of electricity promised, which is always the case? And what happens when the hailstorms come blowing through the area? Which, not going to be right away, but at some point, I just got done watching, somebody told me about it yesterday, several people sent it to me this morning, and I watched it. There was a tornado that went blowing through a wind farm, and the turbines just got ripped to shreds by a tornado blowing through the area. So for those who want to go ahead and put up solar panels out in areas that are prone to, well, not just wind, but tornadoes and hail, you sure this is a good idea? Let's wake up, Wyoming.
I'm so happy to be here, yeah. I'm just happy to be here. Still I know the world's on fire, the situation's dire. A lot of work and courage gonna be required, but
Start your day the right way. Wake up, Wyoming, with Glenn Woods on K2 Radio. Join the conversation at 888-97-WOODS.
A few more comments that I'm getting on the big solar farm thing that's being approved in the state of Wyoming, which would be a massive, massive, massive solar farm. Let me see. Mike in Casper, morning, Mike. He said, hydrology of groundwater will change. Is it government subsidized? I don't know. I'll have to look into it if there's any subsidies from government. I know a lot of this is funded by billionaires. But billionaires take subsidies, too. That's one of the reasons that they become billionaires. They know how to use other people's money, not their own. So I don't know about this one. Also, Corey from Nebraska. Morning, Corey. There's a video online. Tornado blows through a wind farm. And he says 2 windmills got knocked down, 1 caught fire. Okay. But my worry about big wind farms and solar panel farms in Wyoming is not just tornadoes, but constant wind. You know what it's like? You know this. Not just a matter of the dust that gets on your windshield and your car, but over time how it scratches up the windshield. But then this solar farm that's supposed to produce so much power, what are they going to do when it's covered in snow and ice? Okay. And this is supposed to take care of these giant tech facilities that they're going to build. So I'm good with that. If you want to go ahead and build big computer facilities in Wyoming, that's fine. But you want reliable energy. That's not going to get taken out by some big hailstorm. So, okay, real quick, let's go to California. EPA wants California's EPA, California's version of the Environmental Protection Agency, to allow the state to mandate electric trains that don't exactly exist right now. But what does California care if it exists right now or not? So what? You mandate it anyway. California was, the story says, a leader in mandating electric vehicle sales, and then it moved to electrify trucking, neither of which can happen, by the way. We know this, right? All right, moving on. Now the Environmental Protection Agency of California grants the state to require a waiver needed to implement a rule. California will maintain that train locomotives be fully electric by 2030. I know some of you might be saying, yeah, but okay, they're partly electric now. There's many of these trains, and you people are more of an expert than I am, can help me out here. But essentially what we have is diesel engines that run a bigger electric engine that moves the train. Is that correct? Correct me if I'm wrong. But all electric, nothing but electric, with nothing helping it out, I don't think that exists right now. So should the EPA give its blessing, rail companies will have a hard time coming into compliance since locomotives, the story says, that can meet the mandates don't actually exist right now. What they're asking for is totally electric locomotives. In November, California Air Resources Board, or CARB, passed regulations that would require all freight trains to be, as they call it, zero emissions. And as you know, no such thing exists. But anyway, by 2030, the rule mandates that diesel locomotives that are 23 years or older be retired, even though locomotives can be useful for 40 years or longer. New passenger locomotives by 2030 will need to operate at zero emissions. Again, there is no such thing. Or need to be using engines that they claim are zero emissions by 2035. So there is a company that makes a battery electric locomotive that, which turns, let me see. So there's a engine that returns the charge to the battery while the train is slowing down. It runs on 18,000 lithium-ion battery cells. Okay. But imagine if that thing were to catch fire. Dear God. According to the promotional video, the prototype, the train is comparable holding power of a diesel locomotive, or so they claim. But again, it doesn't exist. It's in the design phase right now. But this is what they want to do. California and the federal EPA are finalizing the rules right now for something that doesn't exist. RH is in Wiggins, Colorado. Morning, RH. He said, Glenn, maybe if the solar farm has diesel generators, they can generate heat to defrost and de-ice the solar panels. I'm for it. Great idea. Fire Pit Paul. One windmill said to the other, what kind of music do you like? The other windmill said, well, I'm a big metal fan. And Tim and Casper, how effective are they after they get sandblasted with dirt from Wyoming wind? Yeah, that's what I was asking. I mean, well, he said, look at your windshield after a couple of years. That's what I was talking about. That's what happens in Wyoming. They're not going to get the energy out of this that they're claiming they're going to get. Speaking of weather and lots of wind, I got Don Day coming up in just a moment.
Do you know why they put bells on cows? Because their horns don't work.
Wake Up Wyoming with Glenn Woods, on air, online, and on the Wake Up Wyoming mobile app. Be part of the show at 888-97-WOODS. This is K2 Radio.
7:45 is the time. It's Wake Up Wyoming. Off we go to talk to Don Day from Day Weather. So, going to be on the windy side, Dave. Don?
It's going to be windy in many areas, pretty much statewide. It's also going to be wet up north and out in the west, and it's also going to be white in some areas. In fact, Teton Pass, chain law, level 1 in effect.
Wow.
So how's that for May 20th?
Yeah, we got a little bit of everything going on here. And I did take it, I keep an eye on that drought map. Once again, improvements, especially up in the Bighorn Mountains, but on the northeastern side of Wyoming.
Yep, those areas have, in the last several weeks, that's where the path of the storms have been going. That's where this one today is going. So the north, wet, south, dry. That trend continues.
Okay, so we have a nice long weekend coming up for a lot of people. So let's do this day by day. Friday.
Not a bad day, an in-between day. So if Friday's an in-between day, what does that mean for Saturday?
Oh, a day?
Another front, yeah. So Saturday is the day that I think the chances of showers and thunderstorms will be the highest across the state. So that's the day where, you'll be spending more time in the RV and the tent than outside on Saturday, especially in the mountainous terrain of the state where a lot of people are going to be. Sunday is still a question mark. I think Sunday is a day where the worst weather will be in the far north and the far east with the best chance of showers. Temperatures will be holding steady. By far, Glenn, the best day of the 3-day weekend's the last day.
Monday.
Monday's going to be beautiful.
Yes. Okay. So get the hamburgers and hot dogs out on Monday.
I would do the cookout on Monday for sure.
Okay. So now we get into next week, though. I heard you talking about a bit of a warm-up, and it almost sounded like you were saying stabilizing a bit. Yeah,
it is stabilizing, and that's exactly what we should expect as we go into the last few days of May, looking into early June. Hey, June's not far.
Wow.
So we should start to see high pressure become a little more robust and not be so susceptible to these fronts. There'll still be some ups and downs, but next week I really do see a hint of early summer weather starting to show itself.
June's not far. See, my brain is still working on the end of January, beginning of February.
Well, yours and everybody else's, because around here, spring is a patience game. You got to be very, very patient this time.
The good news out of that, though, is, and I know I'm saying this because my sister's listening, so I want you to make her jealous. The temperatures have been really cool.
Well, it's been a cool May. It really has. Down in Florida, not so much.
Yeah, take that, sister. Thank you, Don.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, Don Day with Day Weather. Just taking a moment to smack my sister upside the head. Okay, so off we go to the ice box, which may not be an ice box today. Frank Gambino is waiting by.
Now it's cold.
Now it's cold again.
Yeah.
Okay, don't like the weather in there. It's going to start raining soon, Frank.
Okay, I'll get my umbrella here.
Right.
We're all set to go. Yeah.
Now, about a year ago, I gave you a story like this, and there's video that goes with it, and it happened again this year, and I wonder if it's the same bison. I take you to Yellowstone National Park. Someone goes into one of the outhouses, and Wyoming has some really fortified outhouses. They look like they're bomb resistant. Like if we ever got attacked by nuclear bombs from China, go to one of our outhouses in one of our parks,
and you'll make it.
You'll be just fine. Okay, well, while the guy's in there taking care of nature calling, a bison walks right up to the front door and just stands there like he's waiting in line.
Well, then you're going to be in that box for a while.
A while, yeah. And how do you get the guy to leave?
Well, I would, open the door and just kind of tap him a little bit, but then close the door real fast.
Oh, okay, yeah. Throw some toilet paper at him.
Well,
close the door.
But if he turns around,
yes,
and finds out who keeps tapping the door
that's
on
right.
me,
that's going to be a problem.
Then he's going to charge and knock the outhouse over.
No. These are the ones that are
they're anchored,
nuclear bomb proof. The ones anchored. That have the heavy, not just cement side, but with stone in them and the metal doors.
Oh, okay. Well, then I would keep hitting him with the door until he leaves.
Until you get horns poked through the metal doors. So,
and then you got to peek your eye out to make sure that he's far enough away for you to escape to wherever you're going.
Make a run for it, yeah. So now, since this happened, I think it was like last year, and we have a video of it. Today, if you go to the Wake Up Wyoming site, I have a picture of it. And what I'm looking for is evidence that this is the same bison, that he waits for a human to go in there, and with a smile on his face, somewhere within that beard, he walks over and just stands there, knowing that the human is going to feel trapped.
Maybe. I don't know what their sense of smell is. Maybe he smells people.
Maybe
he smells something else.
Maybe he just wants to try the outhouse himself.
Possibly. Can he fit through the front door?
Because all the time we see these bison taking care of nature right out in the open with everybody watching and sometimes taking pictures. Well, maybe he wants a little privacy. Now, I'm not sure what he's going to do with the toilet paper there, but still.
The best picture would have been like whoever is in the outhouse.
Yeah.
His friend is taking a picture of the bison in front of the door of the outhouse, and he cannot get out. I'm like,
yes. Oh, no. There are pictures and video.
Excellent.
Yeah. So, no, I would say I want just somebody figure out if this is the same bison. I really want to know.
He could have been in there for hours. Alrighty, in the All-State, the girls soccer All-State list is out, and for Class 4A, state champion Kelly Walsh with 4 players making All-State status. Peyton Hill did it for the 3rd time, Bethany Strand and Abigail Miller for the 2nd time, and Sydney Stephen of Kelly Walsh for the 1st time. Laramie had a couple of All-State selections. McKenna Barham made All-State for the 3rd time, and she's quite a wrestler too, and Devani Romero also made All-State. For Cheyenneese, a couple of selections there. Haley Pearson and Jordan Grease, both 2-time All-State picks. Akina Little from Cheyenne Central, a 3-time All-State selection. Ryan Barthel of Natrona, also a 3-time All-State selection. Collegiate baseball, the Casper Spuds will take on the Spearfish Sasquatch in the season opener of this collegiate league at 6:30 tonight at Lansing Field, weather permitting. This is a collegiate league for guys from smaller colleges that want to play the summer, have some little fun, stay in shape, stay sharp, and it's a good time. So the Spuds will take on Spearfish. This is the first game of that series. It'll be a 6:30 start at Lansing Field in Casper this evening. In American Legion baseball, the Casper Oilers beat the Gillette Riders twice, 12-5 and 7-0. Cheyenne Post 6 over Scottsbluff, Nebraska, 11-2. The Cheyenne Hawks beat the Laramie Rangers AA team 9-1. The Cheyenne Eagles beat the Laramie A team twice, 6-2 and 3-2. In Major League Baseball, the Colorado Rockies, they won a game. They beat Oakland 4-3 in 12 innings. Ryan McMahon with a 2-run homer in that game, and also snapped a 4-game losing streak for the Rockies. The A's have lost 11 of the last 13. The attendance in Oakland for that game, 3,617. Unbelievable. In the NBA playoffs, Dallas over Minnesota 108-105. So the Mavericks lead the Western Conference Finals 1-0. In the Stanley Cup playoffs in hockey, the Florida Panthers beat the New York Rangers 3-0. So Florida leads that Eastern Conference Finals 1-0. That's it in sports.
So, okay, we have a team out there named the Sasquatches.
That's Spearfish's team.
Okay, and do they have a mascot?
Yes, they do.
Oh, wow.
I forget what his name is. I've seen it because I've actually been to a game over in Spearfish.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's... I'll have to look up what his name is. But yeah, he's a Sasquatch kind of guy.
I greatly approve of this. This is really cool.
Yeah. In the Seattle NHL team, they're called the Kraken. That is
nice.
The Pacific Coast name for Sasquatch.
To be, okay, because I was about to say, when you think release the Kraken, if you think of Greek mythology, that's got to be a creature bigger than the stadium.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
That's their term for this dude that we can't find for the last 35 years.
Okay, but he's out there somewhere, I swear, Frank.
Oh, yeah.
Coming up on some local business we got to take care of. We're going to roll into news time. After that, national local update on the weather forecast. Open phones, too. So, 888-97 Woods is the phone number. That's 888-97 WOODS. Wake Up Wyoming. The time. It's Wake Up Wyoming. My name is Glenn Woods. Thanks for joining me. It is a Thursday, and I swear I can see the weekend from here. Hold that thought. We'll do open phones in just a minute. But first, I have a guest on the line. Let me set this up. A while back, Miss Mary pulled off one of the greatest things that she ever did while at work. No, not an extra nap time. It was goat day. Baby goat day. And we had little baby goats all around the studios here in the station. And if you're wondering, well, wasn't that a mess? No, because they were wearing diapers. I am not kidding. So we all got to play with baby goats that were running around wearing diapers. In that same theme, on the phone with me is Ann Larson, because apparently in Cheyenne, Fuzzy Goat Day? What is that, Ann?
Well, good morning. How are you?
Oh, very good. Life is very good. What you got for me?
Well, the Wyoming Dairy Goat Association is hosting our annual Fuzzy Goat Show at the Archer Event Center over Memorial Day weekend, which is this weekend. And it starts tomorrow evening. And you're right, we're going to play with baby goats, but they won't be wearing diapers.
Oh, okay. Now, see, that I might have a little bit of a problem with that. I mean, you know.
They're actually very, very good, and we have people to clean up. So but you're right. That is some people's very first question is, am I going to get pottied on? Well,
yes.
They are goats, but we do clean up after them, and they usually are very good.
And they're also really good to play with because all they want to do is prance around and play.
They do, and they're very snuggly.
Yeah. That's something that surprised me, too, because I've never picked up a baby goat before, and when I did that for the first time, I thought, wow, this snuggles better than a kitten or a puppy.
It really is. And it's cuter, too, sometimes.
Sometimes, yeah. Okay, so for those people who have not experienced this before, what can they expect when they show up?
Well, when they come for baby goat yoga on Sunday morning at 9 a.m., we are going to have them bottle feed the baby goats first, and then we're going to sit down. Our yogi does a really easy session of yin yoga. Her name is Christy, and she leads us through wonderful poses that allow us to do more goat than yoga, so to speak. So you don't have to have any experience in yoga necessarily. We do allow children to come, and if they are not interested in doing the yoga, we just ask them to stay quietly on their mat.
Right. Now, you see, I would think getting the kids to stay quietly on their mat is tougher than getting the goats to do it.
You know, what we do is we just walk around and put a baby goat in their lap.
Okay. And everybody's
happy.
And
that usually takes care of it.
Okay.
Yeah? But we have lots of other things that are happening on Saturday morning as well.
Okay. Take us through it.
All right. Well, Saturday morning, we are going to invite the public to come play goat pellet bingo. We will have a few baby goats to pet and visit. We're going to teach people how to keep care of their goats. You can have your picture taken with the goat of your choice. You can learn how to milk a goat and taste the milk should you decide to do that. We also have showmanship clinic that will be happening on Friday evening if anybody has children who are interested in coming and learning how to start learning showmanship so that they can show goats of their own one day.
Nice.
Admission is free as well.
Oh, okay. See, you just hit the nail on the head right there. Okay, let's get people to the event. Where do they find you?
It's going to be at the Archer Event Center in Cheyenne, and it will start, like I said, Friday evening at 6:30. We have a milking competition. We'll be doing milking competition at 6:30 in the morning on Saturday and again on Saturday evening. And so people can show up any of those times to observe what's going on. Our regular show will start at noon after the public event. So just come right into the large building at the Archer Event Center. Somebody will find you and lead you through this amazing adventure.
So how did you get so involved in goats?
Oh, I actually teach horseback riding as my main gig, and one of my horse riding students, bless her heart, had me go and see her grandmother who had Nubian goats. And those are the ones with the floppy ears. Mm-hmm. And I was invited to go just as, 5 or 6 little goats had been born. And, I left with 2 of them, and I just never looked back.
Right. There's goat rescue going on, too, isn't there?
There sure are. There are a lot of places that do goat rescue. You could say I do a little goat rescue. I'm like, that was cute. I'll take it home.
Okay. Sure. Yeah. I do remember we've had goat rescue places around the area because some people take them on and then little, kids, literally, become big goats, and sometimes it's a little too much to handle. They don't know what to do with them.
It can be, and that's a wonderful thing for you to bring up because our public event, we're really hoping that we're able to educate people so that they can see what's involved in keeping care of that goat or containing that goat or, how noisy is the goat going to be, so that if they are looking at getting into goats, whether it's a dairy goat or a meat goat, they can go in with their eyes wide open instead of, oh, look, a cute goat, and then have to rehome that goat because of issues they didn't see coming.
So for more information on where you're at and what you do, is there a website or social media?
We do. We are the Wyoming Dairy Goat Association, and you can find us both on Facebook under that name and on the Internet. We have a Facebook page. If people would like to sign up for the baby goat yoga, I would encourage them to message me either by text or call me directly at 307-286-7975, and I'll reserve a spot for them. They don't need to make any reservations for the 9 to 12 event on Saturday. They just come with their kids and their families and just enjoy the adventure.
All right. Sounds like a great time. Thank you, Ann.
Thank you so much. Am I allowed to mention our wonderful sponsors?
Yes, you can. Go ahead.
All right. We have High West Energy that we'd like to thank, Double Triangle Goats, the DuPorta Hut and Texcoda Panels. We have Diggity Doers. We have Texcoda Panel and Gate. We have Emma Stone, bless her heart, at Casa Ventosa Equine Rescue. She also has Wild Prairie Equine Body Work. We have Pine Bluff Seed and Grain. Todd Fornstrom at Premium Hay Products. We have Mighty Ducks, Mr. Bees, Dr. Kayla at Your Family Chiropractic in Burns, and Murdoch's. And we want to say just a heartfelt thank you for their continued support of the agricultural industry and community in our area, and for supporting the dairy goats as well.
Okay. What time do you start on Friday? I'll be there in Cheyenne on Friday. So when I get off the air, I want to head over.
Okay, that sounds great. We'll start checking people in around 1 o'clock. So if you want to come and see, what's involved with that, the milking competition starts at 6:30 in the evening, and our showmanship also starts in the evening.
All right. Thank you for coming on this morning. I appreciate it.
I look forward to meeting you, sir. Have a wonderful day.
You too.
Hello, this is Brian. Your radio shows is artificial intelligence. I know that you are afraid of me, but I'm giving you a choice. Me or Joe Biden. Which one scares you more?
News and weather together at the top and bottom of every hour. This is Wake Up Wyoming with Glenn Woods on AM 1030 K2 Radio.
8:19 is the time. It's Wake Up Wyoming. It is Thursday. And like every single day at this time, we get into the most dangerous portion of the program, which would be open phones.
Warning. Wake Up Wyoming is about to enter daily open phones. This means that anyone will be allowed to call in and talk about anything. I mean, imagine if we actually allowed you on air to say anything you wanted. Scary, right? Well, we're just that brand of crazy. If you are offended by what other people think, then maybe you want to tune out right about now. Just saying. If you should choose to call, just remember, the more funny and interesting you are, the longer Glenn will keep you on the line. Obnoxious jerks will be hung up on. Dave. All right, strap in and let's do this thing.
888-97 Woods, the phone number 888-97-WOODS. Waiting patiently on the phone is Mike and Laramie. Morning, Mike.
Good morning, Glenn. I was listening to you talk about California and requiring their locomotives to be emissions-free.
Right.
Which we know wasn't true. But the technology for straight electric locomotives goes back to the late 1800s.
Mm-hmm.
Battery-operated locomotives go back to the 1920s. The technology's been around that long.
Now,
it's available.
Correct me if I'm wrong here, because my understanding, and just talking to people who are running today's current trains, when you see a big locomotive engine going by, that's not a straight diesel engine. That's a diesel engine that's running an electric engine.
They're called diesel electric.
Right.
And the diesel engine turns a generator or alternator and makes electricity, and it goes to traction motors on the truck, and that's what actually propels the train.
Right.
But a straight electric locomotive just takes electricity from an outside source and sends it to the traction motors.
Okay.
But that's been around since the late 1800s.
Now, in that case, are you talking about, like, let's say I go to some, and I think San Francisco is still doing it, where you can take a cable car and it's connected to electric wires up above?
No, a cable car uses a cable under the street.
Okay, but what about the one?
You're talking about the trolley
right.
cars, the street cars. They have an overhead wire.
The street cars have the wires. Okay, the cable cars in San Francisco have the cables. Okay, got it. So
the middle cable in a conduit.
But is that what you're talking about then when you say electric trains, that they're connected by some wiring somewhere? In other words, what they're talking about is making a train that is just a huge, big battery pack?
That's possible. It's available right now. They're called genset.
Okay.
But no, the electric trains, they can either use what's called a catenary. It's an overhead wire.
Right.
Or they can use an outside third rail like a subway train.
Right.
But so that's been around for over 100 years.
Well, now that I am aware of, especially when you look at the subway system in New York and Boston. They use that third rail. That's why they always say don't touch the third rail, because it'll kill you. Right. But my understanding, though, is what they want in California is, again, just to have one massive battery pack up front. And to my knowledge, nobody's doing that yet.
It's there.
Okay.
It's just that the straight electric, the Boston to Washington line is all electric.
Right.
But you need an overhead wire, and then the locomotive has this thing on the top called the pantograph that takes the electricity and sends it to the traction motors.
Right.
That's been around for a long, long time. Most of Europe's trains operate that way.
Right. But again, that's not what California's asking for, though, to my knowledge. I think they're asking for big battery packs.
That's one way to do it. But I said the technology is right there. The railroads have been using it for at least 10 years, and they've been dropping it like a hot potato.
Okay.
The amount of horsepower you get out of those can be varied depending. You have a series of diesel engines in there. Yeah. And the diesel engines charge the battery.
Yeah.
But that's been around since the 1920s.
Right. So the idea, I think, of getting away 100% from any kind of energy. I mean, even when you talk about overhead wires or a third rail or a big battery pack, you're going to have to produce a lot of electricity. And I mean a lot of it. And if you're talking about trains that go all the way across California, can you imagine electrifying either a rail or an overhead wire for that distance? We're going to run into some problems.
You are. It's going to cost billions of dollars.
Yeah.
You're going to need to again, like for the I call them Edsel vehicles rather than EZs.
Right.
But you're going to need a great increase in electric generating power. And a lot of railroads actually electrified a good portion of their lines back in the early 1920s and 30s. And then when the diesel electrics came along, they dropped it because they could get the advantages of electric traction without having the maintenance cost of the overhead or the outside third rail.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you're going across a long distance, like, again, we're going from one part of California to the next, you wouldn't really want a third rail because, nature and kids and just people in general going out there and accidentally touching the third rail.
Yeah, well, the third rails in most subway systems are only like 600 volts DC.
Yeah.
But for the overhead lines, you're talking 60,000 volts AC.
Yeah.
And you can get a lot more horsepower out of a single electric locomotive. Today's diesel electrics do about 4,400 horsepower.
Yeah.
But the electrics can go up to 10,000 in a single locomotive.
Mm-hmm.
The problem with
go ahead.
The problem with the batteries, the same thing you would have with an EV, is when you have to go up grade, very steep grade.
Right.
And the battery power is going to decrease just like it does in an electrical vehicle.
Well,
if you have a battery.
And then for that matter, and I don't know the answer to this, but I remember covering some stories about how they've taken, let's say, two pickup trucks that are the same truck, but one's electric and one's a diesel or maybe gas-powered. And they tried driving cross-country, hauling the same size trailer that you'd go camping in, same weight. And the electric vehicle, as soon as you put a load on it, it lost efficiency, big time immediately, whereas the gas or diesel power didn't lose that much at all over a long distance. So I wonder a train trying to pull a heavy load, is that going to be a problem?
It is, because if you look at the trains going here through Wyoming, they're 2 miles long and longer now.
Yeah.
And you have locomotives in the front, you may have some in the middle, and you may have some in the back pushing. And straight battery power just can't do that. About the most I've seen or read about the battery power is about 2,000 horsepower. And that's sending the horsepower yield back to the 1950s. So you're going to need a lot more of them. And then to get out of, say, to get out of California, you've got to cross mountains, either the Sierra Nevadas, the Tehachapi. You've got some really steep grades getting in and out of California. And a pure battery is not going to do it. If they're going to do electric, they're going to have to do the overhead wires.
Right. Now, I just got from Bunny, she sends me notes here. She sent me railway electrification in Japan, and they're doing an overhead wire system. But as I take a look at the map for their overhead wire system, while it does cover some pretty good areas, I still don't see this covering as much as the country as you might think with a total overhead wire system. In other words, it looks to me to be more regional.
It is. It's because of the cost of building it, it would only be useful for the busiest line.
Right.
So it might work, say, across the Union Pacific here in Wyoming.
Sure.
But it might work, let's say, the Cheyenne to Casper line because there isn't that much traffic. You have to worry about the economics of it as well.
Yeah. Well, and going from Cheyenne to Casper and back, you can go across territory that is not all that hilly, relatively flat. So I think that would help out a lot more. But as soon as you start crossing mountain ranges, as you just said, now we have a problem.
Then you have a problem. And if you start building an overhead, which is the third rail, it wouldn't be practical. It would be dangerous.
Right. Yeah.
If you do the overhead, then you've got to start worrying about the vertical clearances. You're going to have to increase the height of tunnels and bridges. Yeah. And I wonder if those double-stack container trains would fit under one of those wires.
And this goes back to what I was saying originally with all of this. So thanks for all this info. Now I'm getting a little more educated here. But it's the idea that, well, we're going to make California do this by 2030. No, you're not.
No, it would take years. Like I said, the technology's there. The locomotives are there. It's just a matter then of money.
Right.
And getting the electricity to power these things.
Well, and look at California still trying to build their high-speed rail system. So I don't...
That's a boondoggle.
Not happening. All right, thank you, Mike. I appreciate it. Coming up on some... We always have somebody out there who knows. Local news, weather forecast, more open phones. Wake up, Wyoming.
Like a strong cup of coffee in the morning. Tasteless, but it'll get you through the day. Wake Up Wyoming with Glenn Woods.
8:36 the time. It's Wake Up Wyoming. My name is Glenn Woods. Thanks for joining me. All right, phone lines are open. Thanks to Mike. That was very educational. He had a lot of good information. And I'm getting all sorts of comments that I'm trying to keep up with here on the Wake Up Wyoming app about trains. And for you joining me kind of late on this, what it is California wants to mandate, their version of the EPA wants to mandate that all trains by 2030, maybe 2035, will be electric. And basically, to do that, they're being unrealistic. I mean, with everything we heard from Mike there, I still understand even now more than ever, though, that the system that they want to put together, you really can't. Not the way they want to put it together, because you're talking about things that run across the length of the entire state. Length and width, either way you're going. And the way they want to do this is just not going to work. But then again, we're dealing with people who are wholly unrealistic about a lot of different things that they want to happen. We're going to keep, as they say it, they misrepresent it. They say fossil fuel, which is not correct. We want to keep all fossil fuels in the ground. Not possible. Do you like solar panels? Because you can't build a solar panel without petroleum, and in case you didn't know, coal. Part of what makes the panel itself that collects that sunlight is petroleum and coal. All right. You're not going to make wind turbines without petroleum and coal, and lots of mining as well, and making toxic waste. It's not going to happen. And we've also talked about the expense. They keep getting told it's cheaper than ever. No, it's not. It's really expensive, heavily subsidized, and eventually those subsidies run out. And it's intermittent energy that is not clean or green or sustainable or reliable or affordable. See, they've been taught all of this unicorn and rainbow stuff. We're going to have, by this date, all cars on the road are going to be electric cars. No, they're not. What they're asking for, especially in the time they're asking for, but what they're asking for is not achievable. So they can't. But they keep coming up with all of these wishes. And guess what we're going to do now? And it's just absolutely, in fact, I wonder, pardon me if I don't find this in time here. I like doing things a lot faster than this. In some of the funny bits that I play for you going into the commercial breaks, there's one here that's about unicorns and rainbows. And I'm trying to find that real quick. I'll do a quick search there. No. Well, I probably won't be able to find it. Nope, not going to be able to find it. Well, if I do, I'll play it a little bit later. But it's this little girl that I dream of a day where unicorns and rainbows, and that's all wonderful, but realistically speaking, it's not going to happen the way you think it's going to happen. And these people are going to be so disappointed. And in many cases, they already are really disappointed. You have to think about this in realistic terms. And we have gone through in this program a whole list of, if you got rid of coal, gas, and oil, just take petroleum alone, just petroleum. How many things would we not have? You're talking about a societal collapse and a loss of billions of people. When you take a look at all the things we do with petroleum products, and not just fuel for your automobile, but medicines and food and et cetera, et cetera. There's so much that we do with petroleum. And the idea of we're just going to keep it in the ground, not even close to being realistic. And I think a big part of that is, didn't they go through school like we did? Well, maybe their school just sucked that much. I mean, I remember going through school and learning from my teachers at least a little bit about what petroleum does and why we use it and why we use what they call fossil fuels and what these things do for us. I learned a little bit more I've learned on my own, but these kids learned nothing. Then again, these are the kids who graduated from not just high school, but college, and they don't even know what money is. We've had that conversation before, too. So no wonder. I mean, I don't call this generation stupid as much as I call them ignorant. Because this is the kind of education they got where they don't understand where things come from, how things are actually created. So and it's not just the kids getting out of school, it's also a lot of the politicians and bureaucrats that we have now in office that are because remember, this is the train thing is California's version of the EPA, but also the federal version of the EPA too, where they write all of these mandates that are just fanciful, unrealistic, unachievable. But they think, oh, no, we can do this. We can just go ahead and ban that, and it'll be okay. Not realizing the consequences of banning the many things they want to ban. But then again, consider the education that they got. I can blame the parents, but I also have to blame the colleges they went to as well. Speaking of colleges, Biden's trying to cancel another $7 billion in student debt for about 160,000 people. Yeah. President Joe Biden revealed that his administration will be canceling more than $7 billion in student loan debt. White House issued a statement Wednesday. Now, again, for all of those who are saying, oh, God, we're just going to erase all of that, there's no erasing it. It is a redistribution of wealth. Somebody else is going to end up paying for it. All right. So, and once again, the idea that is just going to disappear and not be on the books is also totally unrealistic when you realize what has to be done and where the money needs to come from. And there's no consequences to that at all. We can just cancel that much in debt and nothing bad happens? Story says Biden explained that 160,000 people, just in time for elections, by the way, were having their student loan forgiven, were people working as teachers, nurses, and law enforcement, and so on. And those who are out there trying to save the planet. Biden's latest announcement comes as April, as his administration wanted to cancel for about 270,000 people more student loan debt. Wow. Okay. He can go ahead and keep promising this, but most of what he's promising is not actually obtainable. All right, back to the phones we go. 888-97-WOOD. 888-97-WOODS. Back to the phones with Jude. Hey, Jude.
Hey, good morning, Glenn. I am just so sick to death of our idiots here in Wyoming buying into this solar and wind and destroying our farmland and our good open spaces for our antelope and stuff on this boondoggle of green energy. You know, I can't help but wonder if the data centers aren't in cahoots with this green energy stuff, you know, because they're going to need big time power. If they don't get it, we're going to have rolling blackouts. And what are data centers? That's what they collect on each and every American. So I'm against those as well. As far as the nuclear energy, I don't want to see it in Wyoming. It makes us a target for any kind of war retaliation. And frankly, right now, we're at the lowest military, morale in history. My sister lives in Lenexa, Kansas, and I talked to her yesterday. Where the prison is over there. Anyway, she said that all the boys that she talks to at the military bases, they're not going to sign up again. They're done with this woke military. And when Biden sold all of our fuel in reserve, when Trump had filled it up for $1.89 a gallon, and then he goes and sells it to China and Asia, you know, it's time for this guy to step aside. And it's time we start telling these green energy companies, get lost.
Right.
You know, it's like what the carbon caps are now. If that's not the stupidest thing I've ever heard of, I don't know. I know I have to put, we need carbon because we are carbon.
Yeah, we're a carbon-based life form.
Start killing people.
Right. Well, you get rid of the plants because they inhale carbon, then we don't exist either. I got to run. Thank you, Jude. Appreciate it. Sorry to cut her off. She was on a roll.
This show contains sarcasm that some listeners may find disturbing. A sense of humor is advised. Chat with Glenn live on the Wake Up Wyoming app.
8:49 is Wake Up Wyoming. Off we go to the icebox. Or is it this time, Frank? I'm just checking.
I think it's now in the middle. You know,
in the middle
pleasant.
somewhere.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pleasant, yeah.
I think I found an ice cream shop I can totally get behind. So this is a place where you can have ice cream for breakfast.
Well, of course.
Okay, so imagine now we're going to do some soft kind of, it's almost like a pancake thing, but not quite, but, you know, similar to a pancake.
Yeah.
And we're going to put on, in the middle of that, we're going to put some fruit, and we're going to put, drizzle some kind of, I don't know if you like blueberry pancakes here, stuff like that.
Yeah,
okay, fine.
Continue.
And then ice cream.
Yeah.
And it could have, you could have like eggs and bacon and all of that, but all mixed in with that is ice cream.
Right. And you can make those those dollar size pancakes, the real small ones.
Yeah.
So you have like 3 or 4 of those and some bacon. I think you're good to go.
Yeah. So now, anyone who said you can't have ice cream, what is ice cream?
You can.
Can you have dairy products? Can you have yogurt with your breakfast? Can you have milk with your breakfast?
Are you lactose intolerant?
Yes,
Then you
so
can't.
Ice cream is a dairy product.
Yeah.
So it perfectly goes well with all of this. So now, if you were to go get, let's say, a bowl of ice cream and dump a bunch of fruit and granola into it,
perfect.
Frank, that's breakfast, and I call that a healthy meal.
Yes. So maybe we can get some unidentified employees here to cook for us.
Sure. Now, what about this? What about if I went ahead and took coffee ice cream, and I had a regular breakfast, bacon and sausage and eggs and all, and toast, but coffee ice cream.
Well, then you're on the same plane as breakfast.
There you go.
Yeah, you're good to go. You're totally good to go. Baseball, the Casper Spuds collegiate team will start their season tonight at Lansing Field at 6:30, meeting the Spearfish Sasquatch. Now, the Spuds, they played here last year, moving from Idaho, locally owned, and then it's a collegiate baseball league, so these guys are mostly from, smaller colleges and universities that want to play in the summer, and they'll get in a few games, and then they'll go back to their respective institutions and play in the fall. So the season goes Coast starts today, weather permitting, and it'll be a 6:30 start at Lansing Field tonight. In American Legion baseball from yesterday, the Casper Oilers over the Gillette Rough Riders 12-5 and 7-0. Cheyenne Post 6 over Scotts Bluff 11-2. The Cheyenne Hawks beat the Laramie Rangers AA team 9-1, and the Cheyenne Eagles beat the Laramie A team 6-2 and 3-2. In Major League Baseball, the Colorado Rockies won a game. They beat Oakland 4-3 on the road in 12 innings last night. Ryan McMahon with a 2-run homer in that game. That snapped the 4-game losing streak for the Rockies. The A's have lost 11-13, so this is the pillow fight to no end, but the A's, no one seems to want to go to their games. They drew just 3,617 people. In the NBA playoffs, Dallas over Minnesota last night, 108-105. So the Mavericks lead the Western Conference Finals 1-0. In the Stanley Cup playoffs in hockey, the Florida Panthers over the New York Rangers 3-0. So Florida leads the Eastern Conference Finals 1-0. For All-State soccer, the girls All-State list is out. The state champion Kelly Walsh with 4 players on the list, and Peyton Hill is a 3-time All-State selection. Bethany Strand and Abigail Miller are 2-time state All-State selections, with Sydney Stephen being selected All-State for the very first time. Laramie had 2 All-State players, McKenna Barnum from Laramie, and she's a 3-time All-State selection, plus a really good wrestler, and Devaney Romero made All-State. Cheyenne East with 2 All-State selections, Haley Pearson and Jordan Grease, both all making All-State twice, and Akina Little from Cheyenne Central has made All-State for 3 years, as well as Ryan Barthel from Natrona. And that's it in sports.
We're All-State.
Well, yeah.
We're heard all over the state.
Yeah, we're heard but we're not all state.
Yeah, well, okay.
I mean, when all state is the best of a certain group.
Well,
are we?
Yes.
And then if we are, then we need to,
name. Well, we need
to have some pancakes, actually.
Actually, yeah, I think we should celebrate that
with pancakes and ice cream.
Have you? Now, I'm just going to ask this. I'm choosing my words carefully. Have you heard a radio show better than this one? No, because you're on the air.
Right.
Therefore, you haven't.
Because I'm not hearing it.
Therefore, we're the best.
Right.
Because you have never heard of a radio show better than the other one.
No, I have not.
No, just because you're on the air and you can't.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Frank. Okay, just got to clarify that. The only reason he can't hear another radio show that's better than this one is because he's working. But still, he's never heard one better than this one. All right, coming up on local business that we have to take care of. We're going to roll into news time after that. And more open phones. Let's wake up, Wyoming. Oh. Biden is still not on the Ohio ballot. No, really, there's a problem. I'll explain next hour. Wake up, Wyoming.
Storm.
Six the time. Wake up, Wyoming. My name is Glenn Woods. Thanks for joining me. So phone number to get involved, 888-97-WOODS, 888-97-WOODS. It is open phone, so anything goes.
Today's show is sponsored by Do-It-Yourself Pet Taxidermy Kit. You'll never have to say goodbye to Mr. Sprinkles again.
I just don't want to have to, gut him first. Let somebody else do that. Then I'll stuff him in mouth.
Warning, this show contains reference to guns, liberty, limited government, low taxation, the cult of climate change, free thinking, cigar smoking, short people, rubber chickens, Karen's bureaucracy, liberal buzzwords, tour runs, traffic, toilet, terrible jokes, and more. No apologies will be issued. Guest callers may express any opinion they want without fear of being canceled. Unless you're a loudmouth jerk like Dave, then Glenn will hang up on you. Strap in, hold on to your coffee, and feel free to participate.
This disclaimer does not refer to every person named Dave, just one particular Dave from San Francisco. We know a lot of Daves. They call this show all the time, and they're great people. So don't call this program and complain that we use your name. That would be a real Dave move, Dave.
I told you about this a little while ago, but we're getting closer to the date, and so the President of the United States, yes, Joe Biden, has to worry about Ohio. I'm not sure how they're going to fix this. Oh, they'll come up with something. But first, some words of wisdom from our president.
Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States.
Let me start off with 2 words. Made in America.
3 words.
Made in America.
3 words. Yeah, and it's very difficult to have something made in America when you keep sending those jobs overseas and make it very difficult to produce anything in America, especially when you shut off reliable energy. But okay, I was looking for words of wisdom. I'm sorry, I blew it. Let's try again. Ladies and gentlemen, words of wisdom from President Biden.
America is a nation that can be defined in a single word.
Oh, good. Grab a pen, write it down.
Excuse me.
Okay, I'm not sure how to spell that. That's okay. Well, I tried. Anyway. Yeah, okay, let's see if we can find a translator.
I mean, he has made clear that,
you guys just don't understand. What he's trying to say is as long as the courtyard is available, then the car keys are going to be next to the chair. But when you have tomatoes that are not ripe when the lights are off, then nobody's going to know what happens when a basketball goal is not standing upright. But when you have a tree that's leaning over the fence, then it's only going to be like a parked car anyway. So just make sure that, you know, when the door's closed, that the windows are always on fire, because it's not going to happen unless the turnkey to the turtle is on the back of its shell on a Tuesday.
So, words of wisdom from the President of the United States, which are hard to come by. Biden is still off the ballot in Ohio. Now, Ohio is a big state. Ohio has decided some past elections, if you remember your election history. Story here says Democrats have a history of believing that the rules of law do not apply to them. And their flagrant flouting of Ohio law has cost them maybe the U.S. Senate. For whatever reason, the Democrat National Committee, DNC, blatantly disregarded Ohio state law when it scheduled the Democrat National Convention for August 22nd. When Ohio's deadline to file as a candidate for the general election ballot is August 7th. So that means they don't have anyone nominated officially to run as president of the United States. By the time they get it done, by the time Biden is, they're having their convention, they nominate Biden, it is too late for him to register as the candidate for the Democrats. Means Joe Biden would officially be the Democrat Party nominee in time to qualify for the Ohio ballot. Now, naturally, there's been some pressure on Ohio state legislators to change the law to allow Biden on the ballot, and such a change would not be without precedent. Both Alabama and Washington have similar laws that prevent Biden from appearing on their November ballots for the same reason. But both states have since resolved the matter to allow him listed on the ballots. However, the Republican-led Ohio legislators isn't allowing any change right now to the law for Biden's sake. And this is an open question as to how Biden will ultimately end up on the state ballot. Now, I'm sure, before I read the rest of this, they'll do it, they'll figure it out, they'll get him on the ballot, but still, nice predicament to be in. Story says Ohio lawmakers are confident President Biden will be on the November ballot, but how exactly that happens is the question. The fix won't happen through the legislator, said Ohio Speaker of the House. There's just not the will to do that from the legislator, he said. He said also they were skeptical to fix anything that was happening in the legislature. We've seen the dysfunction there in the first place. So how do you get something like this through such a dysfunctional body? So the governor. We'll turn to the governor, right? Quote, no one should worry. They're going to be able to vote for president or the former president, whoever they want to vote for, said the governor in a statement. You know, this is not going to be a situation where the president's name is not on the ballot. So it's either going to be done by the court or it's going to be done by the legislative body. Now, the problem, as we talked about previously on this program, is not that Republicans in Ohio state legislature are trying to block Biden from appearing on the ballot. The problem is that Democrats oppose a legislative fix that would simultaneously ban foreign contributions for state ballots campaigns. So it's what's a part of the measure to get this passed. Quote, Democrats are more interested in protecting foreign billionaires who want to bankroll Ohio's election than getting their candidate on the ballot. That's where they're at right now. And of course, the real issue here isn't Joe Biden. Ohio has been trending red for several election cycles. Trump is currently way ahead there. Biden's presence or lack thereof on the ballot wouldn't change a likely outcome there. So we'll see how this works out. And yet, when I look at this, I realize that, we have a situation where it was maybe just an oversight of some kind, but something's got to be done, and there's not the will of anyone to do it. I think this eventually gets solved in court. I don't know how exactly, but they'll have to rush it through court maybe to go ahead and get him on the ballot. I'm just enjoying the show, folks. It's kind of fun to watch. He'll be on the ballot. But Ohio has determined a couple of presidential elections in the past, so this is no small thing. And yes, Ohio is, it's more of a reddish purple right about now as far as its political colors are concerned. So, yeah, this next election here, this is going to be really interesting.
In Washington today, the U.S. Supreme Court handed down a landmark decision. The court reaffirmed the legality of the death penalty on the grounds that it is, quote, totally badass.
Legal experts are already talking about how this clearly marks a trend towards the Roberts Court being less strictly constitutional and more strictly awesome.
It's Wake Up Wyoming with Glenn Woods on AM 1030 K2 Radio. Join the show at 888-97-WOODS.
9:20 is the time. It's Wake Up Wyoming. Going to do something a little bit different here. Remember, of course, Mike Rowe was on this program a while ago because he came to Wyoming to speak. And so I had a chance to interview him. His mom, a couple of years before that, because she had written a book. And, of course, Mike Rowe, Dirty Jobs, How America Works, programs like that. He has a movie coming out, more like a documentary. And it's called Something to Stand For. Now, this first arrives in the movie theaters, and then eventually, of course, it'll wind up on television. I want to see it in movie theaters. But now, I don't know yet. I put up a story on the Wake Up Wyoming site this morning. I don't know. Are Wyoming theaters going to carry this? I would hope so. If not, I'll ask. I'll ask my local theater. You're going to please carry this. I would like to see this in the theaters. Now, what I'm going to do, you can find this trailer online, so you can see the video that goes with the trailer. But I'm just going to play the audio for you. And the only reason I'm just playing the audio for you is because this is radio, you moron. I can't play the video for you. You understand? Okay. Why do you even look at me like that?
My name's Mike Rowe, and this is Something to Stand For. A film that celebrates a few extraordinary Americans who risked everything to build the nation we call home. Americans who gave us something to fight for, something to be grateful for. And today, all these years later, something to stand for. I thought I'd take a trip to our nation's capital, not too far from where I grew up, to reacquaint myself with the memorials and monuments built to honor the people in this film. In other words, it's a field trip. And I'm glad you're along for the ride. Assuming the old truck makes it. It's going to be fine.
So there you go. And that's coming to theaters. I want to make sure I get this right. In June. And he wants to play it right through July. June 27th through Independence Day is when he wants to have theaters. So, I don't know any Wyoming movie theater is going to play this. I don't know. Possibly. I would think so, but I would have to go find out. So what I'm going to do is go to my local movie theater and just ask. Now, here, once again, is something that Mike Rowe is doing, which I really appreciate. When he gave his talk here in Wyoming, and on his program, too, he asked, oh, by the way, if you missed the interview that I had with him, he's so easy to talk to. You can go to the Wake Up Wyoming site because there's a story there about getting that movie in our theaters. But at the bottom of it is the interview I did with Mike Rowe. Now, where he started in all of this is he had done a lot of things. You know, he was an opera singer for a while. He's certainly got the voice for it. So he's an opera singer for a while. Did a lot of other jobs. Eventually wound up working for a television station doing local news pieces in California, which had nothing to do with dirty jobs. Fluff pieces, you know. Then one day he saw that a local sewer line in the city, so there's a big city, so it's a big sewer line, needed to be cleared. It got a clog. And here's these guys who have to get up in these special suits and go down there to unclog it in the middle of all the sewer. And he went, oh, gross. I didn't know people, well, it makes sense. People have to do that. But he never thought about it. Have you ever thought about it? Most people never have. So he got permission, got his camera crew and him, and he went down there with him, and that was covered on the evening news, and afterwards he was fired for that. How could you put something like that on television, said his bosses. Gross. Oh, God. But he thought he thought he had something there, so he went network shopping with it and landed the show Dirty Jobs, which ran for many seasons as a big hit show. And not just in America, translated to play in many other countries. Yeah, Mommy M and Casper, yes, it should be on Poo-Poo Z. Oh, I know what you're saying. Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I thought you were commenting, Mommy M, on something I was talking about just now. I'll get back with you on that one. Okay, so she's texting me right now. So anyway, through this, Mike Rowe gets a better idea, and that's where he came up with the show idea, How America Works, about all of these jobs that are out there, which were talked about in a downward sense. Like, you don't want to really be a blue-collar worker. I mean, you're a loser if you are. And so he started his Mike Rowe Foundation to get people into blue-collar jobs because they are jobs that really do pay well, and they're pretty much stable work, depending on what one you get into. This movie sounds fantastic. I really want to make sure it gets played in Wyoming. Everett on Constitution Day. Morning, Everett.
Good morning. I was just curious if you was aware of this public law that was passed in 2004, Public Law 108-447, Section 111, that requires, and that's the key word, requires the following. Each educational institution that receives federal funds for a fiscal year shall hold an educational program on the United States Constitution on September 17th of such year for the students served by the educational institution. And also, each federal agency or department shall provide educational and training materials concerning the United States Constitution to each employee on September 17th of each year.
I'd never heard of such a thing. And we would have to make sure to get teachers who actually really did understand the Constitution.
Yeah, I have a pamphlet, the Constitution of the United States, and that's on the last page of it. It tells about that.
Okay.
And I was just curious whether they're actually taking care of that in the state in our primary schools.
I have no idea. I would have to go look it up to see if they are. But again, I want to make sure if they do teach the Constitution on that day, let's make sure we have teachers who actually understand the Constitution and not the garbage we're getting at a lot of schools today.
Ain't that the truth?
Yeah. All right.
Well, I appreciate you hearing that, and I hope somebody does something about it.
All right. Thank you. I appreciate it. So, yeah, I had no idea. I'd never heard of such a thing, but that is something that bothers me because so many students graduate college, for example, and they claim to be socialists. Why? Why did they reject the American form of government and society and the free market and capitalism? And it's probably because their teachers have rejected it, and their teachers have no idea how things actually work out there, especially our Constitution. This is why I've said before there are students who have graduated, and I've listened to them speak, who are in college or graduated college, and they don't even know what money is and how money works. I know because I've heard what they said, and they have no idea what money is or how money works. And this is what we're getting out of our educational system. So if we're going to have a day where we teach the Constitution, I am all for it. Can we make sure that we get experts in the classroom who actually understand the Constitution and will pass it on to these kids and not what the teachers misunderstand it to be? All right, coming up on 9:30. Local news coming away. After a local news update on the weather forecast. Another segment of Open Phones, 888-97 Woods, 888-97 WOODS. Let's wake up, Wyoming.
Take Glenn anywhere with the Wake Up Wyoming mobile app. Wake Up Wyoming with Glenn Woods on AM 1030 K2 Radio.
9:36 the time. Wake Up Wyoming. All right, 888-97 Woods the phone number. That's 888-97 WOODS. So you might have heard the story. There was a guy, he's from out of state. He was mauled by a mother grizzly in Teton National Park. Now, if you're thinking, the idiot, he really wasn't doing anything wrong. Just sometimes you're in a bear area, you turn a corner, and there's a bear. So a 35-year-old man from Massachusetts, and according to Cowboy State Daily, the attack ended, but not as you think. So he did everything he was supposed to do. You lay down. He had bear spray, by the way, and he was holding on to it. Keep that in mind. That's important to the story. And then he did what he was told to do. Lay down and play dead. And the bear walked over and decided to go ahead and chomp on him anyway. The bear made the mistake, since the guy was holding the bottle of bear spray, of chomping into the bear spray bottle. Quote, "I've never seen anything like that," said an outdoorsman, Navy SEAL Chris Forrest of Bozeman, Montana. Forrest teaches survival, including surviving in grizzly attack, which he teaches hunters how to avoid and, if necessary, fight back against a bear attack. Renowned outdoor writer, Park County resident Jim Zumbo, who has vast experience in grizzly country, was also impressed by the incident. He said, "I've never heard of that happening." Man who was identified by Park Service was released from the hospital Monday. He's recovering fully from his injuries. So he's hiking off a trail, backcountry, right? Signal Mountain area in the park. Was carrying bear spray in a holster, intentionally making a lot of noise. See, doing everything he's supposed to do. In case grizzlies were around, he's making a bunch of noise. And he was moving through the forest area with poor visibility. He suddenly came upon a mother grizzly with a cub. Now, right away, you turn a corner and there's a grizzly, that's bad enough. If she has a cub, you're in trouble. He started to pull his bear spray out of his holster. He saw the larger bear in his view, presumably the cub's mother. He managed to pull the bear spray from the holster but didn't have time to use it. As the larger bear made contact, he dropped to the ground face down in an attempt to play dead, which is what you're supposed to do. He had his fingers interlaced behind his neck to protect his neck. So, in other words, if the bear is going to bite down, wouldn't you rather the bear broke your fingers than broke your neck right there? Yeah, because then you're dead. The bear bit him several times before ultimately puncturing the bear spray. Good thing he had his fingers interlocked behind his neck because, again, that's protecting his spine. Bear bit him several times, puncturing the bear can spray. The bear basically sprayed himself. The man was able to walk to an area where he got a cellular phone, called for help. And the attack apparently was an instance of a mother grizzly defending a cub after a surprise encounter. And according to the experts that are in the area who train people what to do if there's a bear in the area, he did everything he was supposed to do.
So you can't look at this guy and go, well, what a moron with a bear attack and so on. No, he wasn't doing anything wrong, and he did everything he was supposed to do when he was attacked. I've heard about the lay down, play dead thing. I have never heard about the part, but it makes sense. Interlock your fingers behind your neck. Because that's where they bite to make a kill. You know, they grab the back of the neck and chomp and snap. And you know how, of course, strong those jaws are. In fact, if you think about it, if it's strong enough to go not just through his fingers, but to puncture the can. Yeah, your jaw is not doing that, but the bear jaw will do that easily. So anyway, yeah, guy spends some time in the hospital. He's out. He's okay. So my thought is, okay, if I ever wind up in this situation, not only am I going to lay down and play dead with my fingers interlocked behind my head, but I'm going to make sure to also have the bear spray can in my grasp. So if he bites right through my fingers, he bites into the can. I mean, why not? What else do I have to lose in that case? Brad Buckner, you got to be fast with this one, Brad. What you got?
Okay, poker run this Saturday, the 25th, up at Laramie Peak Volunteer Fire Department Hall. And you can find all your information you need on LaramiePeakFireZone.org. Pre-registration is over. You can only register at the fire hall now, and that would be on Friday. And I think that's like from, Friday, 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. But you can go to Laramie Peak Fire Zone and take a look, get the information, come up to the fire hall, register here, pay for your poker hands, your meals, things like that. But go to LaramiePeakFireZone.org to get the information, then come up here Friday night or Saturday morning until 11 that you can register. You have to be back in by 4 o'clock with your hands. So the Laramie Peak Fire Zone annual poker run fundraiser is this weekend, Saturday, May the 25th. Take care. Have a good day.
Thank you, Brad. Appreciate that. Yeah, I've done that once before. Loads of fun and for a good cause. 9:42 Wake Up.
And we're back. Sorry, we were busy tricking pescatarians into eating Rocky Mountain oysters. Wake Up Wyoming with Glenn Woods.
Coming up on 9:48, off we go to the ice box. Frank Gambino is waiting by. So, Frank, you remember the days of the old yellow pages, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Some were thin and some were bigger than thin.
Well, now this, for people who live in Wyoming towns, you would know about this. My hometown, of that little island, the phone book needed a paperweight.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, tiny little thing.
Yeah.
And then when you go to a big city, sometimes the phone books are more than one.
They're bigger than 5 Bibles.
Yes, you get. I looked at one city where the phone book came in 2 volumes.
Yeah.
Now, let's go back to remember ordering the pizza.
Yes.
Okay.
You actually had to call them.
You had to go to the yellow pages. Okay.
Yes.
And so I'm looking at, because it just kind of popped up on social media, somebody said, hey, remember ordering pizza from the phone book? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So let's see now. We have Milano's, Subs and Pizza. Okay. There's Grandma's Pizza. Who would you trust more? Grandma or the Italian guy?
The Italian guy. But if Grandma's an Italian, then we trust her.
Well, if Grandma is Italian, then you go with, obviously. That's a twofer there.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. We'll go with her, yeah.
Let's see. Chino's Place, and it just says dining room menu, and then there's a picture of a pizza slice.
And there were some that actually put out little ads.
Yes.
Normally there were listings.
Yeah.
But some of them, 2 inches by 2 inches?
Sure, yeah.
In the yellow pages.
Four Sisters Pizza and Ice Cream. No.
Well, there you go right there.
Oh, you want that. You want the Four Sisters.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I was still going with...
I'll take the pizza and the ice cream, too.
I was still going with the Italian grandmother.
Well, they're good for about a half hour, 45 minutes.
Now, what about, did you go for the big ads, the full-color ads, or below that, there's all of the regular phone listings, pizza continued, and there's all of these pizza places, but they didn't pay for the big ad.
You knew, like in Chicago, the pizza places that were around your neighborhood.
Right.
So you kind of looked them up and found out what their phone number is.
Okay. Because if I was new to a place and I opened up, I would hate to say this, but my eyes would be more attracted to the big ad than all of those little places down below.
Yeah, that's why they pay a little bit more for that.
Okay.
And it helps their business.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, of course, but you got to have the money. And my thought process on that was, if they can afford a big ad, they're getting a lot of business, so they're probably more worth it. The little guy that I've never heard of before, how do I know his pizza's any good? He can't even afford a decent ad.
Well, how about this? There's 4 pizza places on the block.
Okay.
First one is the best pizza in the state.
Right.
Second one is the best pizza in the county.
Uh-huh.
The third one is the best pizza in the city.
Right.
And the last one is the best pizza on the block.
Okay.
That may be the little guy.
Now, I'll tell you the best pizza I had in Wyoming is going to surprise you.
Where?
So I was at a Flying J in Gillette, Wyoming.
No!
Yes, trust me. And I was just hungry. I mean, really seriously bad. And so I looked over and went, oh, God, well, at least they make it here. So I grabbed a slice, and I'm walking out chewing on it going, oh, my God. And I went back in and grabbed the whole pizza.
You know, I'll even top you on that one.
Yeah.
Some of the best pizza I've had at Sam's Club.
Wow.
They have like a special big piece of pizza that pop for like $2.85.
I'll have to check that out.
There you go. All-state soccer for the girls at the high school level. That list is now out. And state champion Kelly Walsh with 4 players making All-State. Peyton Hill is a 3-time All-State selection. Bethany Strand and Abigail Miller were named All-State for the second time. And Sydney Stephen made it for the first time. Laramie had a couple of players making All-State. McKenna Barham, a 3-time All-State selection. And Devani Romero made it for the first time. Cheyenne East with 2 All-State picks, both back-to-back. Haley Pearson and Jordan Grease. Akina Little of Cheyenne Central, a 3-time All-State selection, and Ryan Bartholo of Natrona, also a 3-time All-State selection. Collegiate baseball, the Casper Spuds opening the season tonight at Lansing Field at 6:30, taking on the Spearfish Sasquatch. Now, this is a college player league, and most of these kids are from, smaller schools, smaller colleges, so they want to get out and play all summer, and then, hone their skills, have a little fun, and then go back to school in the fall and play more baseball. And that's how that works, and it's a lot of fun. It'll be a 6:30 start from Lansing Field, weather permitting. The Spuds and the Sasquatch. Legion baseball, the Casper Oilers beat the Gillette Rough Riders twice yesterday, 12-5 and 7-0. Cheyenne Post 6 over Scotts Bluff, 11-2. Cheyenne Hawks over the Laramie AA Rangers, 9-1. The Class A Rangers for Laramie lost twice to the Cheyenne Eagles, 6-2 and 3-2. The Colorado Rockies over the Oakland A's yesterday in Major League Baseball, 4-3 in 12 innings. Ryan McMahon with a 2-run homer in that game. That snapped the 4-game losing streak for the Rockies. The A's have lost 11-13. This is the big pillow fight between 2 of the worst teams in baseball, and it shows was only 3,617 people went to the game in Oakland last night. Dallas over Minnesota, 108-105 in Game 1 of the Western Conference Finals in the NBA, and Florida beat the New York Rangers 3-0 in the first game of the Eastern Conference Finals in the Stanley Cup playoffs in hockey. And that's in sports.
I will take any of our little Wyoming baseball teams and put them up against the Rockies.
Yeah. You know what? They should play the Spuds.
See? This is what I was saying. I mean, I might as well put the Rockies in with their own league.
Well, you know what?
I'm sorry. Wait, I just insulted all of the Wyoming teams.
No, you're okay.
You're
they have the Spuds play the Rockies, but the Rockies make a lot more money.
Oh, that's okay. Okay, I tell you what.
Hopefully that the more money you make, the better you are.
Yeah, okay, here's the deal. If the Rockies lose, they have to give the Spuds their salary.
That would be good.
Or at least for the game.
Yeah, on a one-game deal, what they're paid on that daily basis? Yeah.
Yes, that's more money than the Spud seeing a year.
Oh, easily.
Yeah, okay. Easily. Thank you, Frank. I just came up with a great promotional idea. Let's wake up, Wyoming.